Here we go again.
Vice is back with another swirling tornado of trash takes, the likes of which only dishonest game journalists can make. Before we dive into this nuclear take on who invented toxic gamer culture, I want to address a couple points. Yeah, I'm gonna poison this Porta-John well of floating turd opinions beforehand. From the headline, you can see where Vice is going with this. Marketing in the good old days invented toxic gamer culture. Not that it used toxic gamer culture to advertise to gamers, no, it encouraged toxic gamer culture. It invented it. Let's take a big steaming pile of shit on this toxic gamer-ish for a second. It's not real, not in the sense that outlets like Vice like to portray anyway. It doesn't have anything to do with gamers in particular. It's marketing. It's competitive nature, and we already saw how Vice sees that. Never mind the plethora of evidence out there that women talk just as much in online game as dudes do. Yeah, let's just skip over that. According to Science Daily, the purpose of trash talk during competition is to cause a loss of focus by elevating emotion to the point of distracting an opponent and decreasing their performance. Link will be in the description below if you're curious about that. In which they quote a study by one C.P. McDermott with emotional manipulation and cognitive distraction as a strategy, the effects of verbal insults on motivation and performance in a competitive setting, using Mario Kart as a test model. Yahoo! They found the ability to trash talk to negatively affect the game performance of a competitor was confirmed. You mean to tell me little Timmy back in the day didn't actually my mom? It isn't to say that there aren't out there. There are. Humans are assholes. And when you're online and will interact with more people than you do face-to-face, generally, you're going to run into more assholes. That's just normal shit, right? And you add the anonymous component and that percentage is gonna go up. Well, let's get to the article. What Vice does is bring up a collection of shocking quotes that are obviously unacceptable today, but devoid of context. They're just shocking quotes. I know Vice is the ilk that wants to delete history like they f***ed up a save file in their favorite RPG, but that's not real life. They point out Microsoft's new trash talk policy and then immediately flash back to 2002 for their Xbox Live marketing campaign as a way to show the hypocrisy of the ads. Cool. If that was their point, I'm with you. That's a valid point. The problem is that's not their summary. Just so there's no doubt, here's the headline of the article again. They go on to point out more aggressive ads, which, okay, some are a little rough, but come on, you've said worse to yourself in the mirror every time you wake up. They just throw out there that these ads show us companies like Microsoft and Sony frequently marketed toxicity as a key selling point for the new online gaming platforms, but not that trash talking was going on in everyone's living room every Saturday and Sunday during football season.
It's time to stop! It's time to stop, okay?
Come on, Vice, you can do better than this. Besides, does no one remember the Brian Gets Cancelled episode of Family Guy? How about any sitcom ever to come out in the past? They are littered with humor that would get crucified if they came out today. They didn't create a mass bigots like a swarm of hate zombies combing the countryside looking for a victim to shake their fist at. No, people just chuckled and moved on. They point out other companies that took a different route with their advertising as well, trying to point out the drive to bring people together. Saying, quote, it wasn't always this way. Ads for online platforms that predated the modern internet, services like CompuServe and Prodigy, emphasized the potential of these technologies to bring people together, as opposed to presenting them as platforms to trash talk strangers anonymously. Cool. Those are for different audiences, though. And that alone is the beauty of marketing, right there. FPS marketing teams were trying to get to the competitive crowd, while CompuServe and Prodigy were trying to bring the less competitive crowd in, people that just wanted to chill. Nowhere does this show that they invented toxic gamer culture. And there's a few quotes that honestly I can't believe made it into magazines myself. Like an advertisement for Sega's Choo Choo Rocket. a puzzle game about mice evading cats by escaping on rocket ships that showcases the very worst of this toxic marketing, end quote. Yeah, the quote that they bring up is, "I stuck a cat in your rocket, you back-ass Tuscaloosa cracker. He's in there chewing your mice, but you probably eat mice yourself when you run out of possum, you monster truck-loving buck-tooth hillbilly." And other two mentally challenged dupes, hang up, I won. Yeah, that's a little out there, but that's still reaching out to the competitive market. That doesn't mean that people weren't talking like this already. Have you never talked to somebody in person? And it doesn't take long before Vice gets to what they really want to do. In come the buzzwords like lazy production, savaging the last season of Game of Thrones. You tried a little bit, Vice, but you couldn't help yourself, could you?
My disappointment is immeasurable, and my day is ruined.
Fragile masculinity. Yeah, the boys only space, booth babes, masturbation puns, a cornucopia of cuckery meant to do exactly what they claim Microsoft and Sony and the like were doing. Get an emotional knee-jerk reaction out of you. Gotta get them victim points in the article somewhere, I guess. Vice does kind of bring it around with this paragraph, though, saying, quote, "Of course, all of this suggests a fundamental chicken or egg problem. Did companies like Sega, Microsoft, and Sony identify a population of hyper-competitive angry gamers and market their online services towards them? Or did the marketing of these platform models and acutely toxic mode of interaction that gamers then seized upon and imitated? The likely answer is that the two are mutually reinforcing. The toxic marketing campaign ads wouldn't have existed without the audience, but that doesn't mean the ads didn't continue to shape the audience once they were out in the wild." And this is solely the best part of the article. It's actually critical of the pandering that companies do to reach out to the audience they want to. Fantastic! But we have to remember, that's not Vice's point. And this doesn't prove Vice's point. It proves companies pander to their audiences. Who knew? The rest of the article literally goes on like this, pointing out that companies are being more harsh to trash talk and hate speech, as though this isn't them trying to reach their audience, it's more like them, quote, being better. And I swear to God Almighty, everyone who says that f***ing line ODs on Tide Pods.
So good.
All in all, this giant sewer of assumptions making an ass out of Vice, and me for reading this two-head drivel, is just Vice being Vice. And they have planted themselves firmly on the side of what gives them access, slurping down that publisher money shot, pun intended, and trying to tell you that holding these companies to any kind of standards makes you a toxic, entitled gamer. And that'll about wrap it up for this rant. If you would like to see more, please leave a comment below if you have any critique. I'm open to it as well. Also consider subscribing for more content like this and future Let's Plays that will be coming to the channel. Thank you for watching and have a great day.